Howdy, 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 and welcome to the Snort Cast. My name is Nguyen, and I am the creator and host of the Snort Cast. It's an interview show that interviews funny people from all around the world talking about their funny. And before we begin with the show, I would like to ask you, where are you watching this show from? I would love to know where my snorters are. If you are a live snorter, hashtag live. If you are a replay snorter, put hashtag replay and the city that you're watching from. It's really important for me to know where my tribe of snorters are laughing with me and, you know, talking to comedians about why they do what they do, comedy. I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land, the Wurundjeri people, and pay my respects to the Kulin nations of elders past and present. Sovereignty was never ceded. It always was and always will be Aboriginal land. So in September, I decided I want to pay it forward. And it's something that my mother taught me, which is you always, it must be because she came here on a boat, but she always has that mentality of paying it forward. So this month, the charity that I'm supporting is September. It is raising awareness and funds for cerebral palsy. So if you like to donate, the link is in the bio. You can donate $20, $25, or $50,000. It's all up for grabs. So please, if you would like to donate, please donate to the charity. And also, if you would like to support the Patreon of the SnortCast, you can click on the patreon.com/realdianawin. You can support my work in doing this every week. I do 2 interviews a week. And if you would like to support comedy during this crazy time that we find ourselves, please click on my Patreon and support. And thank you to the people that are supporting this show every month. And you know, the SnortCast is also on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. All you have to do is @ the SnortCast or hashtag the SnortCast. All right. So we are here to speak to a man that is a legend for me. And when I first met him, I was, you know, when you're a fan of the Beatles, that was how I was with him. Because he is the first ever Vietnamese Australian comedian that came out in the early 90s. He was smashing it all over TV on the circuit. He has performed all around the world with his violin and has performed in Edinburgh numerous times. He also has a book called The Crappiest Refugee. Read it. It is hilarious, and it made me cry because it talked about his family and especially about his dad. And you can check out his new documentary that's just come out called The Mist of the Perfume River. It's about his dad and his dad's legacy that he's left behind, and it's so beautiful. So please check it out. And we will get to talk to him very soon because we're going to check out his work. Here we go. Oops.
I was in Japan, right? No one told me this. The toilets in Japan have laser beams.
Oh, we'll just do that again. I have put the wrong video up. Bear with me. I love live. I love live stuff. Here we go. So this is Hung Lee's work.
I was in Japan, right? No one told me this. The toilets in Japan have laser beams, right? So when you do a poo in Japan, the laser beams, it sees your poo and perfume comes at your shit don't stink. In Japan, the first time I did a poo in Japan, I went, oh fuck. Just shut Chanel. Chanel number 2s. And there's no flush button in the toilet. In Japan, they've got a whole wall full of buttons with Japanese writing on it and shit, right? And I don't read Japanese, so I go, bugger it. I just close my eyes and I hope for the best. I press this button, water squares up your ass, right? First time it happened, I cried. Oh, make it stop. Make it stop. And then I really got into it. Went to the toilet 8 times a day. Oh, yeah. I ate whale. Was in Japan, no shit. I went and got a whale burger from Hungry Japs.
Please welcome Hung Lee to the show.
Hello. Yeah, man, you need patience.
Welcome to the show.
Hello, how Diane? How are you, mate?
Good. How are you? It's been a while, hasn't it?
It's been 6 months. It's been 7 years, and yes. What would you like me to say? Here we go. I can hear you now.
Good. I would like you to tell me, who are you? Who is Hung Lee?
I'm just a guy next door. You know, if you see me in your front yard, then call the police. I'm the guy next door that's really quiet, but you know, just scream out, "Get out of my front yard!" And I will. But I'm the world's tallest Vietnamese stand-up comedian, and yeah, that's it. That's what I'm doing. That's it. That's my call to fame.
Amazing. And if you're watching us from LinkedIn and Facebook, thank you for joining us. We've got Malaysia joining the show. We've got India joining the show. We've got Perth, New York. You're awake. Thank you. Barcelona, Bangladesh, New South Wales, enjoying the not long lockdown. We've got Cape Town. Thank you for joining the show. Cyprus has never joined the show before. Thank you for joining, Cyprus. Sydney, John Ambler is a regular on the show. Thank you for coming and letting me interview Hung Lee. And as I said before, he has been such a influence on my life because he's one of the first comedians to hit the circuit as a Vietnamese comedian. How was it to be the first Vietnamese comedian in Australia?
Oh, it was fantastic. I was the only one. Hey, there was no competition at all. And it was it was 1992.
Wow.
That's when I first started doing stand-up comedy. But before that, I was doing like musical slapstick comedy in the streets. I used to play the violin. We had this string quartet, but we used to go out in the street and play classical music, but in like a clowning classical music sort of thing. And so about 1987, we won the Melbourne busking competition. And so we went on Red Faces, went on Hey Hey It's Saturday. You used to have a show called Hey Hey It's Saturday.
Oh,
and it was
we did.
Hey?
Yeah, we did.
We did. And they had this talent bit on it. No, it's just stupid talent. If you had stupid talent, you win. So we went and we won. And yeah, then we started traveling the world and going to do festivals, Adelaide Fringe Festival, and then Edinburgh Fringe and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, you've traveled the world with your fiddle, haven't you?
Yeah. When I was 17, I think we went to China, played classical music to Chinese people. I've traveled all over the world with my fiddle. Yes.
Yeah, I love it. And can I ask you, Hung, when did you know comedy was your language? Like the first moment?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it was at school. I think it was because when I first came, when I came to Australia, there was no Vietnamese people here, and so when I went to school, I had to be funny or else I was gonna. Yeah, it's the only way to survive, really. And I did it on purpose, and I got in trouble. I thought getting in trouble was what I had to do to survive. So I did. I got into heaps and heaps and heaps of trouble. Just being the funny guy, just to survive, you know. Yeah.
So that was like a superhero kit to get through school, because you
Yeah,
came in.
because I play the violin as well, and that, you know, that'll get you beaten up for sure.
Yes.
Playing the violin and you know and you know, again, coming from Vietnam as well, nobody's ever seen people from Vietnam before in 1975, except for only on the TV, and it's all death and war and everything, right? And then we turned up, and no one knew who we were, you know.
Yeah.
So it was all right. I play the violin. My dad used to dress me up. This is like one of the very first trench coat guys mafia. I think I started it. I started the trench coat mafia in primary school because my dad used to dress me up in a trench coat and a French beret, which we went to Maya to buy a full-on French beret. We had no money, you know. This is how he dressed me for school, for primary school. A trench coat, a French beret, and a leather case. And yeah, I look like Jacques Cousteau or whatever his name is, the Pink Panther. What's his name?
Chadwick.
No, the Pink Panther. Not
the Black Panther.
God, how old are you? Inspector Clouseau. Remember Inspector Clouseau? That's how I used to dress for primary school. It's unbelievable. Wow. Yeah, and then everyone started doing it. So yeah, so I don't know what the question was. Oh yeah,
the memory.
Yeah, well, about 15 years old, I went out to Burke Street and with my violin started busking, and we got really bored, so we just packed up our violins and just started mucking around, and people started laughing and people started giving us money, and that's when I started, well, okay, maybe this is a good thing. I can make a bit of money doing this, playing classical music. And because the reason I think that we got so much money was that I played a little bit out of tune. You see, as a musician, I really didn't play in tune, and it was really terrible. But in the street, people thought it was funny. People have never heard an Asian guy play out of tune before. Yes. You know, and they thought it was hilarious, right? And so that's when I started. I go, oh, okay, I'll just play out of tune for a living. So I did that.
So beautiful.
Oh, lucky.
You found your thing with that trench coat and a
yeah, right. Yeah, what a bad refugee I am, man.
Well, talking about the bad refugee, you are the author of The Crappiest Refugee.
Yes.
What was the inspiration for the title?
Well, you see, Ando had put a book out. He's the other Vietnamese refugee, and he put a book out called The Happiest Refugee.
Yeah.
Straight away, you know, as a comedian, the Crappiest Refugee. I've got to put that one out because it's hilarious. It gets a laugh every time I ask people. Because I was on a cruise ship. I remember I was on a cruise ship with Dave Callan, who's a comedian. And I said, Dave, I got this idea of writing a book called The Crappiest Refugee. What do you think of that? And he thought it was hilarious. So every time I told people, they thought it was hilarious. So I thought I wrote a book about it. So it was supposed to be a fiction, supposed to be a novel, right? Supposed to be like Vietnamese kid, can't play the violin in tune, really bad at maths. And I thought, oh, shit, that's me. So I might as well just write my own story so I don't have to make it up, you know? So, yeah, so I did that.
Yeah. It was inspiring to read because you talked about Edinburgh and, you know, living it poor, like, you know, scrap to scrap, wasn't it? From what I can remember from the book.
Yeah, we were totally poor. We went to Edinburgh because and I started living in London with no money, you know, with New Zealanders, and that's what we did. I loved it. I loved never paying rent. It was just unbelievable. We never ever had to pay any rent and or electricity or anything because they used to have a box on the wall.
Yes.
And you put 10 pence in for the electricity, right?
Yes.
And when the 10 pence runs out, all your electricity runs out in the council flats in London, right? So you'd be sitting in a bath, and then the bath would just get cold you're in the dark, and because you don't have any money to put in the meter.
Yes.
So we just broke the meter and just kept getting the 10p that fell through, and just kept putting that in, that sort of stuff. And just living in London in those times, like 88, I lived there for a couple of years, just just living poor with New Zealanders. It was great fun.
I think I read your book before I went to Edinburgh, and it was really it was kind of like a manual book, not to.
How to party.
Hmm?
How to party.
Yeah, how to party. Yeah, and also Small World. Marcus Ryan. You met up with him before he walked the Camino in Spain.
I think it was yeah. I was in Barcelona writing my book.
Yeah, 2017. We were laughing because I walked the Camino, went to Edinburgh. He went to Edinburgh, then walked the Camino the same year, and he met up with you.
Yeah, right. Yeah. There you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, he loves you. If you didn't see the Facebook comment.
Yeah, right. No, I took a year off. I took a year off the cruise ships, and I went to Edinburgh to write my book, because it's I went to Barcelona to write my book. And it was beautiful, Barcelona. I was just hired a flat and just looked out the window, and everything you looked at in Barcelona was art. Everything you looked at was inspiration. So I was just living the dream, really, and editing my movie as well, editing the doco and writing the book in Barcelona. So and doing stand-up.
Triple threat. That's a triple threat move.
Doing stand-up for a beer in Barcelona. Amazing. To Spanish people. It was great fun.
Hung, who inspires your comedy? Like, you've been doing this for over 2 decades now. Who gets you up on stage to make people laugh?
Poverty.
Oh.
Yeah.
Who that was good.
That's me up on stage.
I love that.
Yeah. When I was a kid, I tell you, when I was, because my dad used to take me in Vietnam. My dad used to take us to Charlie Chaplin movies. Every time Charlie Chaplin movies come on on the big screen, Vietnamese people love slapstick. They do. In Vietnam, they love Mr. Bean, and they love Charlie Chaplin. And then my mum used to take me to kung fu movies. Every time a new Bruce Lee movie comes out, my mum would take me. So my dad would take me to Charlie Chaplin. My mum would take me to Bruce Lee movies, and then that's when I got it from. I think that's it all just melded together, and that's who I am. From all that, from Vietnam. Oh man, if you've never been to the movies in Vietnam, you got to go. You go to Vietnam? Diane?
Yeah, I haven't been in 7 years.
Yeah, right. Oh, jeez. Yeah, 7 years. Yeah, me neither. So it's changed again.
It has. I remember your story about performing at Planet Hollywood in Vietnam. Do you remember that story?
It was the hamburger joint. What's it called? It wasn't Planet Hollywood. It was the
something close to that.
What's the other American one? What's the other American music place?
TGI's. But yeah, you nearly shut down Vietnam.
I've done it a couple of times. I think I did it in the 90s the first time, illegally. Is that the one you're talking about?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, no, that was before comedy broke in Vietnam. Like, I'll tell you the story. The Foster's Beer rang me up one year, early 90s, because Foster's Beer was made in Saigon. All right, that's where the factory was. Yeah. So the head of Foster's Beer is this dude called Tan, and he was one of these cardboard box kids that got sent out of Vietnam in '75 in a cardboard box. And Qantas took a whole plane load of orphans to Australia, right, in cardboard boxes. And this dude, he was one of them. And when he got here, they put him up. Like, he got adopted by some really rich, like Sydney people's judges and stuff like. But then, as soon as he turned 18, he went straight back to Vietnam. He couldn't handle it. He could, like, as a Vietnamese kid and growing up in Australia, he couldn't. He didn't like it, so he went straight back and worked for Foster's, right? And he speaks Vietnamese with an Australian accent. It's unbelievable. It's like me. And so he rang me up and said, well, why don't you come every year? We do a Christmas party for the Vietnamese, or the orphans. And I said, I'll do it for free. But 6 months before my gig, I had to send my routine to the government. And it came back with red marks all over it. Like, you can't talk about sex, drugs, religion, politics, right? So I said, what am I supposed to talk about, right? So I said, listen, how about I just talk about growing up in Australia, and I won't mention anything about war or refugees or anything. And they said, yeah, okay. So then, I had to get a license. In the 90s, you had to get a license to speak in Vietnam, right? To speak publicly. So they wouldn't get a license. But I turned up anyway because I've sold out this show. I sold it out. And I turned up and the hotel is a 6-star hotel, right? And they built me a stage. They built me a stage with a big banner, "Welcome Home, Hung Lee." And I turned up, and 5 minutes before my show, the Minister of Culture and the police turned up and shut my show down. And I was out there having, champagne with people, having a chat. And they go, no, there's no way. They go, there's no way you put your foot on that stage. And I said, why? I said, because you're a traitor to your own people. And I said, why? Because I had this one joke that they didn't like, right? And the joke goes like this. I speak Vietnamese like a little kid. The only thing I can say is, Ma, con mới ỉa rồi, which means, Mum, I just pooed my pants. That's the joke, right? Yeah. And they didn't like it. The Minister of Culture said, mate, if you're a real Vietnamese, you'll be able to speak Vietnamese properly. And he shut my show down. And so we had to wait for the police to leave. And I got everyone in the audience up to the swimming pool in the dark, right? And I did a show in the dark at the swimming pool, right? Wow. And then the Australian consulate was there, and they got pissed, right? They go, oh, Hung, we got you another show at the nightclub. I'm like, mate, I've already done one illegal show. You're the Australian consulate. You're supposed to be looking after me. Fuck you, man. Yes, right? The next day, this is in the 90s, right? The next day, my dad rang from Melbourne. And two aunties rang from Germany and said, get back on the plane. Do you want to disappear? It was that harsh, man, in the 90s. But now you can go, you can do. It's getting easier to do comedy. Yeah. But I went to see some stand-up comedy in Vietnam, some local comedy, right? It was hilarious. Oh my God, Vietnamese people laugh so much. It's just falling down. It was just always a fat guy and a skinny guy, right? There's always double acts, or a fat chick and a skinny chick, and it was hilarious. And But now, you can do it. You can do it now.
I love it. So Peter Ling's found out what it is. It's hard rock.
Hard Rock Cafe, yeah. So I can go to the Hard Rock and do comedy now, so it's okay.
There you go. Can I ask you, like, you got censorship in Vietnam. So when was the last time you went back to do stand-up?
I did, 7 years ago when I made this movie.
Oh, okay.
I was at the Hard Rock as well. Yeah, same week. I was at the Hard Rock. So it's fine now, I think.
I've been told I should go back to Vietnam and nurture comedy, but my Vietnamese is shocking. How is your Vietnamese?
I did it in English. It's a Hard Rock Cafe.
Yes, that's true.
It's all white people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a circuit around Asia. You just do it in English.
Yeah. That's true.
I can't. There's no way I can do comedy in Vietnamese. My Vietnamese is not good enough. And Vietnamese is too hard.
Me too. Yeah,
It's
me
too
too.
hard. It's a very hard language.
You could offend a lot of people if you didn't know the language very well.
Yeah. I offend myself.
Uh,
Yeah, it's like when I go. Just like when I go to bloody Hanoi, and I practice my Vietnamese. And I go to a hotel and I practice my Vietnamese. And the Hanoi people just go, just speak English, mate. You know, easy for both of us. Just speak English. Oh man, I'm trying to learn here. You know, I just did SBS with SBS radio that you just gave me the number to, and the woman just go, just speak English. I'm trying to speak Vietnamese, and she just go, just speak English.
Yeah, that's happened with me with SBS as well. They're like, just speak English, or they give me the questions 2 days before, and I have practice my response.
I think in the old days they didn't let you speak English. There was no translation. SBS radio. In the old days, I had to speak Vietnamese. Oh my god! Maybe that's why they changed it.
You touched on about being in Vietnam 7 years ago with your documentary, and your documentary is called Mist of the Perfume River. Before we talk about it, I want to show a little bit of the trailer because it is homage to your father.
Yeah.
His artistry. It's so beautiful. When I read about his story in your book, The Crappiest Refugee, I never knew that's part of you, and it was such an honor and privilege to have access to that. It's so beautiful, and I haven't seen Mist of the Perfume River yet, but I know it will be beautiful. So we're going to watch a trailer of Mist of the Perfume River before we talk more about it with Hung Lee.
And it's the return of the prodigal son, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm round of applause to Hung Lee. We have my neighbors, You shoot the movie. My dad's made all these sculptures in clay and they put it out in the Perfume River. You should go to Wayne, you'd see the beautiful sculptures. In one, they're like, it's made of 5-ton bronze of Pham Ngo Châu. You know Pham Ngo Châu? Every city in Vietnam has got a street called Pham Ngo Châu. Leaving the place and coming back and working at the Hard Rock Cafe, which is an icon of Americanism. The irony is there somewhere, and I tell the audience about my growing up here and leaving and how I feel about it, and I tell them all about my dad and all his statues and all the artwork that's made in this country, and people really appreciate that. People, I feel that people really, really got into it.
Hung.
Yes.
I love your new hairpiece.
Yeah.
What inspired you to tell your father's story?
Well, at the start, it was just for me. Hey, it was just for my family, because I go back to Vietnam all the time to find people, to find my family. You know, I go to France to find my family, and that's all I've been doing. And I just travel the world finding family, right? And I've got my mum has an aunt, my mum has a cousin, right? And I see her all the time in Vietnam. This woman, she's like a computer, a human computer. This woman has never touched a computer before. This woman doesn't have a phone or anything, but she lives in East Germany. But she goes back to Vietnam and she remembers every single person of her family and all their kids and where they live all around the world and their phone numbers all in her head. It's unbelievable. So that's what I do. I just go back and find family and stuff. And well, at the start, that's why I did it, because I just wanted, because my dad passed away, and he's got so much beautiful stuff in Vietnam, and now it's all out in the Perfume River. And I doubt if there's any artist in the world that has 3 pieces of art in the one place, in the most beautiful street, off the one place, right? Anywhere in the world, right? So he was a superstar, my dad, artist over there. So yeah, I just wanted to see, and I just want to meet his friends as well. These guys who my dad used to teach in Hue, teach art. They speak Vietnamese. No one speaks like this anymore. They speak like it's poetry, right? And with the Hue accent, it sounds like they're speaking poetry all the time, and no one speaks like that anymore. So I wanted to film them and keep some of that. And it was very hard to translate as well. You have to have people from there, because luckily one of my dad's friends, a professional translator, lives in Melbourne, and he's from Hue, so he understood what was going on, and that's why it took so long for the film to come out, to get it translated properly, And I just wanted to film my dad's legacy, and it's history, really. What he's done in the country for the arts, it's history. And people go to Hue and they'll see all these sculptures, and they'll go, "Oh, who are these sculptures?" And I've got it all on film now. And yeah, one day people will. Kids will learn this at school watching this movie, I reckon.
And that's so beautiful to hear you articulate that about your love for your father, because, if we talk about the war, it was devastating, but it's just beautiful to hear that your dad's work is honoured on the Perfume River.
Yeah, it was amazing. Hey, it's so amazing for art as well. One of the reasons we left Vietnam, because my dad told me he was an artist and he wanted to express himself. And had we stayed, he wouldn't be able to express himself, And now, all these years after, it's all his artwork is out there now. It's unbelievable. It's and I wanted to see his friends for the last time, because they're all old, and a couple of them passed away since we made the film. And it's so beautifully shot. Yeah, it was just me and my mate, me and Peter, who I used to play in the string quartet with. Just me and him, and we just went out and we shot this just for us, really. And you can see it now on Ozflix.
That's it. The link is on the page, www.ozflix.tv. Mist of the Perfume River. Just put in the search bar, and that will come up. And how long is this documentary that you worked on?
It's 48. How long is it? 48 minutes.
48 minutes.
Yeah.
And how long did it take you to make it?
What?
How long did it take you to make it? Make 48 minutes?
7 years.
Wow.
I've got a couple of bonus extras on the video as well. So there's another one. There's another story of my dad's Buddha. My dad made a Buddha. There's as big as a house, and we lost it when we left Saigon. We didn't know what happened to it, and
it was inside your home, wasn't it?
Yeah, and they took it away to a monastery, and they put it back up. And we didn't know this, right? Until one day, the head of the Vietnamese Buddhist Society came knocking on the door here in Coburg with a picture of it. He said, "Look, your Buddha has survived."
Wow.
It was unbelievable. It's so beautiful. So yeah, go check the movie out. There's a bonus extra on it about the Buddhist.
We've got some people saying looking forward to seeing the documentary.
Nice.
And she's an artist in Florida. So thanks for joining us. And different cultures are important to our world. Expression of his art is important. And Anna has said, "What stunning work."
Nice. Thanks.
Thank you very much for joining us, our community. If you have a question for Hung Lee, please ask. This is you know, he's got his wig on. It's one of his characters he plays. But please ask him a question. He is giving his generous time, and this is where you can ask him about his process as an artist. We had a laugh before, Hung, about, you know, being in a pandemic, and you know, you only get what, 2 roles in your lifetime as an actor. What's happened?
Oh man, yeah. I missed out on a commercial this week because the pandemic got extended. No, the lockdown got extended.
Yes.
I got a bloody part in Hungry Ghosts, and I double booked myself. You get an acting job once every 20 years, and you double book yourself twice.
Dude, you double book Hungry Ghost, dude.
Well, because they said, oh yeah, you're shooting next week, and you know, you got a life. You know, I had a job.
That's it.
Acting is the weirdest thing. Hey, they just think, oh yeah, you're auditioning tomorrow. What do you mean tomorrow? I've got a life, you know. Oh yeah, the show's next week. I go, no, I can't do next week. I'm on a cruise ship, you know. Yeah, I was on a cruise ship, so I couldn't do it.
Yeah, it's contract, isn't it? You can't jump off the boat.
I can't just pull out, you know. Can't just pull out the week, you know, the week before and say, oh yeah, I've got to.
No.
I'm shooting a movie, but who knows? Man, happens all the time though. When you get it, happens to me all the time. Get an acting job, it's double booked. It's one day every 20 years.
One day every. Well, let's talk about that because you know, we're in a pandemic. It's dark. How have you used lightness to your day in the last 6 months? How have you brought joy to yourself?
Oh, this is what I do best. I love it. This is what I do. Sitting around, lazing about, waiting to eat. It's what I do at work. It's what I do on the cruise ship.
Yeah.
And it's what I do when I'm not at work, lazing about, waiting to eat, watching movies. It's, you know, I wrote when the pandemic started, I posted a song every day for a couple of weeks. I posted like 14 songs.
That's
every
great.
day I was working. Yeah, and I exercise. Exercise is good.
Yes.
I go and ride my sister's bicycle. I fixed my sister's bicycle.
Yes.
So I'm doing that. I don't have a car anymore because I can't afford a car. So I'm riding my sister's bicycle. And that's how I'm surviving. It's oh man, it's gonna be weird. I don't know. People doing comedy is gonna end up outside.
Well, that's what they do in the US. In LA, they're doing stand-up on utes.
Oh, what a nightmare. What a nightmare. Oh my God. Stand-up should never be outside.
Well,
and should never be in the daytime.
No. Well, New Zealand's back to normal, and also New South Wales is doing theatre again. So, look, the time will come.
Right.
It's just that we need to, we just need to get the numbers low. That's all.
Yeah. So now people are having 25% of the house. So people sitting in these spare seats next to them, and oh my God, what a job! What sort of job is this? We need? We picked the wrong job.
No, you didn't.
We need to pack people in the same spot.
We will.
It's not going to happen again.
We will. Well, I do a lineup show, and you've performed once for me at a fundraiser. Thank you so much for doing that. But I have a lineup show at SnortCast. So I have to get you back on that show.
What?
I host a lineup show.
What's a lineup show?
In Melbourne, I book 6 comedians and stand up and talk about jokes for 8 minutes each, like a lineup show.
Online? No,
in Melbourne before COVID.
Oh, live.
Yes, live.
We're
working it. We've got here Prakash Daniel.
Hello,
says
Prakash. Hello, Prakash.
performed live with him in KL, and he said
Yeah.
he has performed at the Crack House Comedy Club. And I remember one of the gigs, he did his bit and hit his head on the mic and started bleeding. I remember I was hosting that show, and it was a riot show. How did you hit yourself with the mic?
That was my first night at the Crack House.
Wow.
I went to bow. I went to bow to the audience and cracked my head and bled. Yeah, I was bleeding in 3 places.
So funny. How the hell
Yeah. Oh no, and and got this beautiful girl up from the front row and put tissues on my head. So I killed a good 5 minutes there. But I bow too hard. I shouldn't. I just forget to bow properly. I just hit my head on the mic all the time.
We've got Amanda Cryer. She said, I was on that cruise reading Anne's book. You walked past me and said, good book. I was a bit starstruck and I can't remember what I replied to you, but your show was amazing. I also went to Vietnam just after the cruise. Loved it.
Oh, sure. Oh, really? Cruise fans.
They're coming from everywhere.
Reading Anne's book on my cruise. Me off.
Okay, my next question to you is diversity in comedy. Like, you started in 1992, and I remember, I think it was 2012 or 2013, you and I hung out during the comedy festival, and you were raving about this Malaysian troupe, and Ronnie Cheng was just about to come out. Like, he was about to blow up that year. 2012, I think, was his blow up year. Yeah. Have you seen diversity make changes in Australia? Has there been changes, massive changes, or you think there could be more?
There's massive changes. Yeah, of course. You know, it's you know, when I started when the Wogs Out of Work came out. Yeah. Well, I remember Wogs Out of Work in the comedy festival 1987.
Wow.
Yeah, when there was 2 theaters in a comedy festival. There was only 2 theaters in a comedy festival in 1987, right?
Wow.
And and I remember Wogs Out of Work, and people were lining up around the and so I joined them. And so everybody. It's great now. I see a lot of diversity in stand-up because there's a lot of young kids who come here from all over the world. You know, a lot of refugees, a lot of migrants come here now. You know, when it was my turn, is Vietnamese people, and so after me, there's African people. So kids want to tell stories. That's it. They want to tell their own stories, and the best way to do it in Australia is comedy, really, with the Australian sense of humour, and that's the only way that people will accept your story, I think, because doing comedy is pretty hard here because Australians don't like complaining. You know, it's like the whinging Tom factor here in Australia. People don't even like English people. That's their ancestors. You know, they say the worst things about their ancestors. You know, what's migrants? What chance have we got? So we got to battle it out with the Australian sense of humour and get people to understand. And that's the way I've been doing it. Just to get a laugh, talking about Vietnam War stories. I came out talking about Vietnam War stories. Now, who's going to laugh at that? But I made them laugh. So, every time people come here, they'll see. YouTube is great for kids taking up stand up, and I think that's how stand up blew up in Asia because of YouTube, and then all the Asian kids going, oh, they can do it, so I don't have to be a doctor after all, right? So it's totally blown up in Asia now, and they're so good at it. The Asian kids are they're so fast. They pick up things so fast. The kids in Malaysia and stuff, I go, how long you been doing it? And they go, 6 months. What are you doing? They're doing, we're doing corporate gigs. And what do you mean you're doing corporate gigs? You've only been doing it for 6 months. Oh God. And so as we know, Asian kids are very quick at picking shit up, So and it's great. Kids come tell stories in Australia now.
Right. Yeah, it's I think Asia's comedy scene is it's huge. It's So we gotta make more comedy here in Australia. Yeah. Well, I do. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, just a quick mention. I just want to say thank you so much for coming to see my show Naked in 2016.
Yeah.
So gave me one tip.
What's that?
I don't know if you remember it, but it was like I said 20 fuck yous to the audience, and that was from you.
Did you swear too much?
Yeah, I did. I did swear. No, you just taught me, like, you come back with the same joke. You tell that same joke, bring it back in, and it worked like a joy. So thanks for that. You can't remember. I can see your face. You can't remember. No. But I just remember that you gave me tips when you didn't have to, and I appreciate that, because that's how
good.
you really learn.
Yeah, good. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, that's I don't mind, man. People asking me questions and stuff. If I can part with anything of any wisdom, then I will.
Well,
Yeah.
my next question to you is that people on LinkedIn want to use comedy in their presentation. They want to be funny when they speak. What would be your tip for people to use comedy? How would they use comedy?
Give up. What do you think this is? What, you just do it? Oh, I want to be funny. What do you? I've been doing it for 35 years.
Oh, man.
I can't do it. Jeez, I want to be funny. Yeah. Forget about it.
Oh, God, I love it. So real.
Get, hire yourself somebody to write your script for you.
Oh.
Is that what you're talking about?
Well,
what do you mean they want to be funny? In what?
People they speak in TED Talks, they stand up and do a presentation in their workplace, and they just want to be funny. They want to be able to catch an audience and just, it's a superpower that you have, which is to make a room laugh. That's huge. Everyone wants that superpower. How does that person have that superpower that you have? Give up is what you said.
Well, you go.
Hire you to write the script. Is that what you're saying?
Well, hire somebody to write the script. I don't know, man. I find it hard.
I know.
Yeah. Well, people do it professionally, right? Write scripts for. What I used to do when I used to do corporate gigs, I used to go and visit the business and have a chat and ask them what they want me to talk about. I would read. I would do homework. Hey, when I first started doing this, I would do so much homework and write jokes and all this sort of stuff, man. So you got to, get a professional. If you don't want to do it, get someone to write this stuff for you and do it. That'd be the easiest way, I reckon.
That's a good tip. That is a good tip.
Yeah. Get Diane to write the shit for you.
I love it. We've got a question from Ramona. She's asked, how did you get funding for your documentary?
Oh, we had to put a Kickstarter. We did a Kickstarter. We asked for $4,000, and I think we got $5,000, and that was it. Yeah, that was that bought the flights and some accommodation, and that was enough for Vietnam.
That's true. It was a Kickstarter.
It was fantastic. It was just enough,
Oh, that's good. And Ramona has written, love cultural comedy. Thank you, Ramona.
Oh, good. Thanks, Ramona.
She's a huge
Yeah,
fan.
cultural comedy. Yeah, that's what I love. That's. I don't get. I just love learning from people. Hey,
Mm.
I just love traveling, and I love meeting local people. I'm a terrible tourist. I hate being a tourist. I can't. The first time I went to Paris, I didn't see the Eiffel. I didn't know where the Eiffel Tower was. I couldn't see it, and I was too ashamed to ask people.
Oh.
So I had to go again. I had to go a second time. And I tell you, I was in Edinburgh, all right? And I said to this girl used to work at the theatre. I said, I'll meet you in Paris in 10 days at the bottom of the Eiffel Tower in 10 days, right? I had to go to, and I turned up, and 10 days later, and she was at the airport waiting for me, because she said, I don't trust you. You won't find the Eiffel Tower. Because the first time I didn't know where it was. So she can't. Hey, I'm the terrible tour. Yeah, but cultural comedy. That's what I love. That's what I love about traveling. That's what I love about doing stand up in Asia, because there's so many different cultures all living together, right? And then I come over there with an Asian guy with an Australian accent. That just blows their mind, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and it's in Edinburgh too. When I get up in Edinburgh and say, "Yeah, g'day," and people go, "Oh, what?" And it was great. I don't know. Did you like Edinburgh?
I love Edinburgh. I'm sad that it's not running this year for a first time for a very long time.
Yeah, you went a couple of times, didn't you?
Just once.
Oh, just once. Oh.
Yeah, spent 15K, then came back. It was worth every cent. I did 28 shows in 14 days, and I loved it. It's because the whole world was there. It wasn't geographically Melbourne or Australian. It was like the whole world could laugh at your joke, and it didn't have to be because you're from Australia. It was because it was universal. But the accent we have, like, does sell tickets, I have to say.
Yeah. It's great because it's just young people from all over the world doing exactly what you're doing. And that's it, and just having as much fun as possible. Yeah. I had the best time. I think it's my favorite. Edinburgh is my favorite place in the world, really, during a festival. Yeah, I love it.
I love it too.
Do
you remember how you used to joke and say that we should do a show where you're like we're like our two old grandparents? Can't remember. You must have been drunk. Can't remember shit.
Amazing. I remember my routine.
Yes. This is our last question for the night. What is your next journey? What are you doing now? Like, what's the plan?
Well, I'm going back to my old job and selling drugs to your children, I suppose. That's the only thing I got. And I can't even do that now. There's no more school. Hey, I had to sell drugs online or something to your children. I don't know. Well, this happened for a reason, man, I reckon. I think it was, mate, I don't know what the reason is that this pandemic happened, but I'm sure something's going to come. Yeah, I don't know. I can't see in the future. Hey, but I had a brand new show. The whole thing. I had a brand new show last year. Hey, we're all raring to go. I was selling tickets at Comedy Fest.
I know. I feel you.
Theatre, had tickets. This next year was going to be huge. I was going to go back into festivals and travel to Australia. Go back into. I haven't done festivals for a long time. I was going to get off the cruise ships and just travel, just go back to what I do, just go do stand up. And my show was the best show I've ever written. It was practiced. It was all ready. I had nothing else to do but just do it, right?
Yeah.
So it happened to everybody, right? So hopefully something else would happen. Would come out of this, So I've got to film on Ozflix. So that's one thing. So hopefully, things will happen. I'm not going to do Zoom comedy. That's not going to happen. That's dying. I'll never do Zoom comedy again. I'm not going to go out in the park and do comedy.
Yeah,
that's not going to happen. But we'll see what happens. I'll be making something, mate.
That's it. We've got a quick question from John Ambler, who's been watching you from the beginning. Can you tell us about a time you took down a heckler?
Most of the time,
yes.
I really don't get heckled much. And when I do, I pretend I don't speak English, and that gets a laugh. And when someone heckles me, I go, "I no speak." I just scream at them, "No speak!" And then they go, "What?" And then I keep speaking English again.
Oh.
I'll tell you a story though.
Yeah.
Cruise ship, right? And when you do a cruise ship, it's like 800 people. It's full house, right? They got nowhere to go. And in the dark, I kept hearing someone just keep screaming, "Chicken fried rice!" on this, right? In the dark, right? So I stop my show. I go, "What?" Go to talk to him, and he won't talk back, right? He wouldn't talk back. So I'll start my show again. So I start speaking. I hear "chicken fried rice." And I go, "What?" I stop the show. "What?" And he won't talk to me, right? This went on for 40 minutes, right? 40 minutes. I hear "chicken fried rice." What? Nothing, right? So I'm on my last joke, and I hear all this clapping, right? So I stopped the show to see what all the clapping's about, and security had come in and walked him out. They're walking him out, and everyone around him's clapping, right? And I got everyone to sing, na 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 na, hey hey, goodbye, all this shit. And then I hear they locked him in. He was so drunk that they locked him in his cabin for 2 days. Right? And I felt really bad. I felt so bad. Because maybe he was that drunk that he thought he was ordering chicken fried rice. Right? And I felt so bad. I should have. They locked him in his cabin, with a guard outside. I should have got him some chicken fried rice. Just a knock on the door. "Housekeeping, chicken fried rice, motherfucker." That's what I should have done, mate.
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much for ending the show with that line.
It's just a children's show. It's not a children's show, is it?
It's not. No, it's on LinkedIn. We're all good.
Well, thanks for having me, mate. Thanks everyone for watching. That's great.
Yeah, thanks for joining the show, the SnortCast. You're such a magical storyteller, Hung Lee.
Oh, good. Oh, phew. At least I can do something, eh?
Yes.
Can't play the violin tune.
Thank you so much for joining. If you want to check out Hung's documentary, Mists of the Perfume River, it is about his father, who is a sculptress. Is that the right word?
Sculptor. He's
Artist.
Vietnam's most famous artist. It's a history lesson. It's so beautiful. And get some tissues too. It'll break your heart.
Beautiful. Check it out at www.ozflix.tv. Type in Mists of the Perfume River. You'll see it. You'll see Hung telling you stories during this documentary about his father. And thank you so much to everyone for joining the SnortCast. And if you would like to support our show, you know where to go on the Patreon. Thank you to these people who support the show. We will see you all next week. And before we go, we're going to leave with the SnortCast reel, because when this pandemic is over, we're going to be back live on stage. See you.
Yeah.
you.